The Xylar Dominion had ruled the Orion sector for centuries. Its vast fleets patrolled every star system, and its officers commanded obedience with strict discipline and overwhelming force. Every civilization within its reach had learned to fear the Dominion, and most had submitted without resistance. In the council chambers of the Dominion's capital, the leaders were confident in their power. Nothing could challenge them until now. Far beyond the Dominion's inner systems, a small squadron of scout ships glided silently through the void. They were sleek, silver-hued vessels designed for speed and observation, carrying the best sensors and scanners the Empire could produce. On board the lead scout, Commander Weiler gazed at the starfield through the transparent hull. He had been trained to detect anomalies, but today, the instruments whispered a warning that no officer wanted to hear. "Commander," the youngest officer spoke, voice tight with tension. "We are detecting an object approaching from beyond the known systems. Its speed. It is impossible." Weiler's claws tightened on the control console. "Impossible? Show me the readings." The officer tapped the display. The sensors showed a massive object moving at velocities far exceeding the fastest Dominion ships. It was massive, larger than any cruiser or destroyer in the fleet, yet it bore no markings, no identification, and no familiar technology. Its signature was strange, unrecorded in any Dominion database. Weiler felt a chill. The Dominion had explored countless galaxies, cataloged countless civilizations, and yet something beyond the edge of their charts moved through the void without explanation. "Prepare a visual scan. I want to see it with my own eyes." Minutes later, the scouts adjusted their sensors to capture the object's hull. The first image appeared on the display. Silence fell over the bridge. It was a warship, enormous and angular, unlike anything the Dominion had ever seen. Its hull was dark with clean, sharp lines. It bore markings unfamiliar to their eyes, symbols that seemed almost primitive, yet there was a sense of efficiency and power in the design. The ship carried massive weapons, yet it moved without the bulky, over-engineered framework common to Dominion warships. Weiler whispered, more to himself than anyone else. What is this?" The communications officer, trembling, spoke next. "Commander, it is a human warship, from Earth." The name caused a ripple of disbelief across the bridge. Humans, Earth, that blue and green planet, hundreds of light years away and considered a minor species by Dominion records, had somehow produced a warship capable of entering their space undetected. It seemed impossible. Weiler felt a knot tighten in his chest. "Send a report to the High Command immediately. Alert every fleet in the sector. I want this threat assessed. Now." As the message sped across the galaxy, the humans aboard the mysterious ship, the USS Resolute, continued their silent journey through the void. Captain Elena Torres stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the stars. Her crew moved with calm precision, fully aware that they were far from home, far from backup, and deep within an alien empire that could destroy them in an instant. "Status report," Torres said, her voice steady. Lieutenant Rajan replied, "All systems are nominal, Captain. Sensors show several alien vessels detecting our presence. They seem cautious, uncertain." Torres smiled faintly. "Good, let them be uncertain. That will be our advantage." The Resolute had been sent on a mission of exploration, reconnaissance, and, if necessary, defense. Humanity had advanced quietly for decades, developing technology far beyond what most species in the sector imagined. Yet the humans had never intended to dominate. They intended to survive and learn. Now, though, survival meant making the aliens understand that Earth was not to be underestimated. Back in the Xylar Dominion, the High Command convened an emergency session. The council chamber was vast, filled with alien officials with clawed hands, tentacles, and eyes that gleamed with calculation. The message from Commander Weiler had arrived. A human warship was now in the outer sectors of their empire. Admiral Krell, one of the oldest and most respected leaders in the Dominion, slammed a clawed hand against the council table. "This cannot be. How could a single human ship appear here? They have no fleet capable of interstellar travel beyond their system." A younger officer, clearly nervous, spoke up. "Sir, the reports are confirmed. Sensors show a fully armed vessel with capabilities beyond any known human construction. It has already bypassed our patrols without detection." Krell's compound eyes narrowed. "Bypassed patrols? That is unacceptable. The humans are supposed to be insignificant. They should be a footnote, not a threat." The council fell silent. Everyone present had trained their entire lives to believe the Dominion's power was absolute. Yet here was evidence that something completely unexpected had entered their space, and it was moving with confidence, not fear. Meanwhile, the Resolute continued its slow, careful approach toward a nearby Dominion world. Torres knew the importance of subtlety. This first appearance was not meant to destroy but to observe, to test and to signal that humanity was clever, adaptable, and not easily intimidated. "Captain," Lieutenant Rajan said, his voice low, "we are approaching orbit of the Dominion planet. Their defenses are extensive, orbital stations, automated weapons, and patrol fleets. If we engage, they will respond immediately." Torres nodded. "We will not engage unless necessary. Our mission is reconnaissance and sending a message. Humans are unpredictable and we are capable." As the Resolute moved closer, Dominion sensors finally locked onto it. Alarms blared across the planet's control centers. Fighters scrambled from orbital bays while energy turrets powered up, ready to intercept the intruder. Commander Weiler watched the feed from his scout vessel. His claws shook slightly. "All units, hold fire," he ordered. "We must assess before we act. This is not a normal human craft." The humans observed the approaching fighters. Torres gave a calm order. "Deploy countermeasures and evasive patterns. Keep them from predicting our moves. Minimal risk, maximum observation." The alien fighters surged forward, expecting easy targets. Yet the humans moved with incredible precision, dodging energy blasts, anticipating every maneuver. It was as if the ship itself was alive, predicting and countering every threat. Dominion officers could not comprehend it. "Commander Weiler," an officer said, panic creeping into his voice. "They are evading every attack. They are outmaneuvering us." Weiler's compound eyes widened. "Impossible. No single vessel could match our fleet's calculations. These humans, they are exceptional." On the Resolute, Torres allowed herself a brief smile. She knew this display would send a message. Humanity did not need to fight with overwhelming numbers. Strategy, adaptability, and courage were enough to unsettle even the mightiest empire. As the humans completed their observation run, they transmitted a single, simple message toward the Dominion world. A message in the alien language, carefully decoded by their intelligence teams. "Humans are here. We are capable. We are cautious, but we will defend our own." The message, though brief, spread quickly through Dominion communication networks. Panic, disbelief, and curiosity rippled through the officers and civilians alike. For centuries, the Dominion had never faced a foe that seemed so unpredictable. Back in the council chambers, Admiral Krell slammed his clawed fist again. "We cannot ignore this. Prepare reconnaissance fleets. We must understand what we are dealing with." Commander Weiler, still aboard his scout, nodded silently. "Yes, Admiral. But be warned. These humans are unlike anything we have encountered. One ship and already our control feels fragile." Meanwhile, Torres and her crew plotted their next moves. They had made contact, observed the enemy, and demonstrated human ingenuity. The Resolute had arrived from nowhere, and already the Empire was beginning to fear them. As the stars stretched endlessly beyond the ship's hull, Captain Torres reflected on the irony. Humanity, a small blue world that no one had taken seriously, had suddenly become a symbol of unpredictability and courage in the eyes of the galaxy's greatest empire. For the first time in generations, the Dominion would have to wonder, could these humans, clever and determined, truly challenge an empire that had never known defeat? The answer for now remained uncertain. But one thing was clear. The USS Resolute had arrived, and nothing in the Dominion would ever see humanity the same way again. The Dominion world, Calathar Prime, glowed like a jewel against the blackness of space. Orbital defense stations bristled with turrets, and fighter squadrons patrolled the skies in disciplined formation. To the Xylar Dominion, no vessel could approach without their knowledge. Yet the USS Resolute had slipped past unnoticed until now. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Elena Torres watched the planet slowly rotate beneath them. Her crew moved with quiet efficiency. Each officer understood the stakes. One wrong move could turn this mission into humanity's first full-scale interstellar war. But Torres had trained for this. Humanity's strength had always been ingenuity and courage, qualities the Dominion underestimated. "Lieutenant Rajan," Torres said, her eyes on the planetary display, "what is their fleet disposition?" Rajan tapped the console. Approximately 30 orbital defense stations fully armed. Patrols are consistent, but their sensor coverage has small gaps near the planet's equator. If we move carefully, we can avoid detection for now. Torres nodded. Good. Prepare a low-orbit pass to gather intelligence. Remember, our goal is observation, not engagement. The Resolute descended slowly, its hull shimmering as it entered the upper atmosphere. Dominion radar blipped and alarms began to sound in the planetary control centers. Commander Weiler aboard a nearby orbital station leaned forward, his eyes widening in disbelief. They are in the atmosphere? Weiler muttered. No human ship should survive atmospheric entry at this velocity. Yet they do it. And they do it silently. Back on the Resolute, sensors scanned the surface. Torres and her crew identified the locations of weapon arrays, communication hubs, and supply depots. Every piece of information they gathered would help humanity understand the Dominion's capabilities, and perhaps reveal weaknesses. Captain, Rajan said, pointing at the tactical display, we are receiving signals. They are attempting to communicate, but their protocols are unusual. They might be trying to identify us. Torres considered for a moment. Do not respond. Let them speak. Observation is our weapon now. On Calathar Prime, Dominion officers worked frantically. Commander Weiler, the intruder is moving with precision we cannot predict. Our sensors cannot track it accurately. One officer reported, panic creeping into his voice. Weiler's claws tightened. All units do not fire unless directly threatened. I want full visual coverage. This human ship, it is not normal. We need to understand before we destroy it. The Resolute continued its silent sweep. Torres's eyes flicked over the data. Humans had always relied on thinking ahead, predicting outcomes, and using creativity to turn disadvantages into advantages. Now those skills would be tested on a scale never imagined. As the humans gathered intelligence, a squadron of Xylar fighters moved to intercept. Their engines flared as they closed in, weapons powered and ready. Vilar's voice crackled over their comms. Prepare for engagement. Identify and eliminate the intruder immediately. Torres watched the incoming vessels. Evasive maneuvers only if necessary. Use countermeasures. Show them that one human ship can challenge many without relying on brute force. The fighters advanced, expecting an easy confrontation. But the Resolute was unlike any target they had faced. Its movements were fluid, almost intelligent, anticipating each attack before it happened. Energy blasts from the alien ships met empty space as the humans executed precise evasions. Captain, their formation is breaking, Rajan reported. They cannot predict our trajectory. Torres allowed herself a small smile. Good, keep pressure without aggression. Let them feel our capability, not our wrath. The Dominion officers were in chaos. Commander Weiler! Our fleet, they are unable to target the ship, an aide shouted, voice rising in alarm. Weiler's compound eyes scanned the display. Impossible. No single vessel should outmaneuver our fleet. Yet, it does. These humans, they are extraordinary. On the Resolute, Torres activated a series of visual decoys. Multiple holographic projections of the ship appeared across the sky, confusing the alien sensors further. Fighters fired at illusions, expending energy and ammunition while the real ship moved undetected. Weiler's officers whispered among themselves. This cannot be real. Are we being mocked? No, Weiler said firmly. This is a warning. Humanity is showing us that they are not to be underestimated. The humans completed their sweep, gathering critical data on orbital defenses, fleet strength, and strategic locations. Torres knew the importance of restraint. One wrong shot could escalate the situation into war before humanity was ready. Yet every maneuver, every calculated risk, sent a message. Humans were clever, courageous, and unpredictable. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, civilians and lower-ranking officers observed the battle from screens in command centers. Whispers spread through the population. Stories of a single human ship evading dozens of fighters and disabling defenses with precision became legend within hours. Fear and curiosity replaced the usual confidence in Dominion control. In the council chambers of the Dominion, Admiral Krell slammed his clawed fist on the table. This is unacceptable. One human ship has evaded our fleets and outmaneuvered our defenses. Prepare all available forces. I want that ship captured or destroyed. Commander Weiler bowed slightly. Sir, I caution against underestimating humans. They have already shown intelligence and ingenuity beyond our calculations. Attacking blindly could be catastrophic. Krell's eyes narrowed. I will not tolerate hesitation. Humanity must learn the consequences of entering Dominion space. Back on the Resolute, Torres reflected on the unfolding events. Humanity's technology was not the most powerful in the galaxy, but its advantage lay in adaptability, strategy, and courage. One ship could make a difference if used wisely. Captain, Rajan said, we have scanned nearly all strategic sites. Data is ready for analysis. We can continue our mission or we can return to Earth to prepare further. Torres considered the report. We remain in orbit for now. Observation is our priority. Every piece of information we gather strengthens humanity's position. And remember, fear is a tool. Let the Dominion wonder what we are capable of. The Resolute hovered silently above the planet. Its presence was small but significant. A single human vessel daring to challenge the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. To the Dominion, it was more than a ship. It was a symbol of unpredictability and courage that no calculations could fully explain. As night fell over Calathar Prime, Dominion officers worked tirelessly, trying to understand what had occurred. Every tactical simulation, every sensor reading, and every strategy failed to explain how one human ship could evade so many defenses. Anxiety spread like wildfire. Viler, sitting alone in his command chamber, whispered to himself, "If this is just one ship, what must Earth itself be capable of?" On the Resolute, Torres knew the answer. Humanity was clever, determined, and resilient. They were far from the largest power in the galaxy, but their strength was in unpredictability and unity. One ship had already caused doubt and fear in the Dominion. Imagine what an entire planet could inspire. The humans made one final maneuver before leaving orbit, ensuring their presence was felt, but without engaging in a destructive battle. As they departed, their sensors recorded every detail of Dominion defenses, every patrol pattern, and every vulnerability. Torres stood at the observation window, staring into the stars. "They will remember us," she said quietly, "and they will think twice before underestimating humanity again." The Dominion world below fell silent once more, but fear lingered. Officers and civilians alike whispered about the mysterious ship from a distant blue planet. No one could predict its next move, and the mere thought of humanity's ingenuity began to shake confidence across the Empire. For the Resolute and its crew, this was only the beginning. Humanity had made contact, demonstrated capability, and sent the first message without firing a single shot. The message was clear. Humans were clever, courageous, and not to be underestimated. In the vast expanse of space, one ship had arrived from nowhere, and already, it had changed the balance of fear, respect, and possibility across the galaxy. The news of the USS Resolute's appearance spread faster than any communication network could contain. Across the Xylar Dominion, whispers of the strange human warship replaced the usual certainty of power. Officers, scientists, and even civilians debated how a single vessel could outmaneuver fleets, evade orbital defenses, and leave no trace of its presence except precise intelligence. In the council chambers of the Dominion capital, Admiral Krell pounded the table with his clawed hand. "This is unacceptable," he shouted. "One ship and already our authority is questioned. This is the work of clever humans, but cleverness cannot win against the Dominion." Commander Viler leaned forward, claws resting lightly on the table. "Sir, with respect, I disagree. Intelligence reports indicate that humans operate unpredictably. They have not yet attacked in full force, but they have already demonstrated tactics beyond our experience. Their mere presence is creating instability." Krell's eyes narrowed. "Instability? We have faced rebellions before. What makes humans different?" "They are bold," Viler replied. "They do not fear the impossible. They use strategy, courage, and adaptability. Our usual methods of intimidation fail against them. Civilians and minor factions are beginning to question Dominion supremacy. Their influence, though small, spreads like ripples across water." Outside the council chambers, Dominion officers and strategists scrambled to understand what had occurred. Every fleet, every defense station, and every patrol was reviewed and recalculated. They tried to determine weaknesses in human tactics, yet the data revealed no predictable patterns. The humans did not move like other species. They thought differently, adapting to every situation in real time. Meanwhile, across the outer systems, Small uprisings and acts of defiance began to appear. Minor colonies, long suffocating under Dominion rule, dared to resist after hearing reports of the Resolute. Civilians organized peaceful protests and small militias quietly tested the Dominion's local forces. Some reported sightings of the ship, often described as a shadow slipping through the void, striking and vanishing without warning. Captain Elena Torres received intelligence from the ship's advanced sensors. Reports indicate small rebellions inspired by our presence, she said to her crew. We did not seek this, but it shows the power of fear and respect combined. Humanity's courage can inspire even without direct action. Lieutenant Rajan, studying the data, nodded. Captain, the Dominion seems unsure how to respond. Their fleets are on high alert, yet they hesitate. It's as if they expect a threat larger than we actually are. Torres smiled. Exactly. One ship, minimal action, and already the Empire questions its dominance. Let them underestimate us no longer. Remember, humans survive and thrive because we adapt. Every move we make now echoes far beyond our immediate mission. On Calathar Prime, Commander Vyler watched the news reports with growing concern. Stories of the human ship, once considered mere rumor, now filled the entire planetary network. Civilians spoke of the humans' bravery, cunning, and ability to appear and disappear at will. Confidence in Dominion control weakened with each retelling. Sir, an aide said nervously, the colonies are beginning to question their loyalty. Minor uprisings have occurred in 3 sectors. They cite the humans as inspiration. Should we respond with force? Vyler shook his head. No, force may escalate the situation. Let observation continue. The humans are demonstrating capability without aggression. Our mistake would be to provoke them unnecessarily. Fear is a tool we do not yet fully understand. The Dominion High Command was in turmoil. Officers debated how to counter the humans, but no plan seemed adequate. Every strategy relied on assumptions that the humans had already proven false. Fleets were deployed, only to return with reports of elusive maneuvers, minimal engagement, and precise strikes on supply lines. On the Resolute, Captain Torres and her crew continued their careful navigation through Dominion space. Every action was deliberate, designed to gather intelligence, test responses, and demonstrate the unpredictability of humanity. Captain, Rajan reported, we have data on Dominion supply convoys. Minimal interference could cause significant disruption without risking lives. It would demonstrate our reach and strategy. Torres considered the report. Do it, but with restraint. Let them feel the pressure, but not the wrath. Our goal is respect through intelligence, not destruction through force. Humanity's strength lies in its mind and courage, not only in its weapons. The human ship slipped past another patrol, striking a convoy of energy transports that carried critical supplies to the outer sectors. Torpedoes disabled engines and navigation systems without detonating any warheads. Dominion forces arrived too late to intercept. To them, it seemed as if the Resolute had vanished into thin space. Commander Vyler, a distraught officer, reported, their strikes continue without confrontation. They are untouchable. Our fleets cannot predict them. We are losing control of perception, if not territory. Vyler nodded grimly. Humans are changing the balance. Fear is spreading, and we cannot fully control it. It is time to inform the Council that our empire may face an unpredictable force. Across the galaxy, human actions inspired awe and doubt. In minor colonies, people whispered of a distant blue planet where humans lived. Rumors described the Resolute appearing like a phantom, striking only when necessary and disappearing before retaliation. Stories of human bravery began to circulate, challenging the long-held belief in Dominion invincibility. Torres watched the data with quiet satisfaction. Humans are not conquerors. We are observers and survivors. Yet even observation, when combined with courage, can ripple through the galaxy. Our mission is clear. Gather intelligence, inspire caution, and show that humanity cannot be underestimated. In the Dominion Council chambers, Admiral Krell slammed his claws in frustration. This is more than we anticipated. One ship has shaken confidence across the Empire. How can we respond? Commander Vyler spoke carefully. Sir, a measured approach is required. Direct confrontation may be unwise. Humans have demonstrated unpredictability, intelligence, and adaptability. Our challenge is psychological as much as strategic. Fear, respect, and caution are now part of the equation. Krell's compound eyes narrowed. Fear? They are humans. One ship, how can fear spread from so little? Because, Weiler said, humans do not act as expected. Their courage inspires others. Every colony, every minor rebellion, every whisper of defiance reminds us that our control is not absolute. One human ship has shown that even a small force can influence an empire. On the Resolute, the crew continued their mission, unaware of just how much impact they had made. Torres reflected on the irony. Humanity, considered minor and insignificant by the galaxy's dominant empire, was now a symbol of inspiration and fear. "Lieutenant," she said quietly, "we came to observe. Yet humanity's presence alone changes outcomes. One ship can inspire courage, challenge perception, and make the powerful reconsider their certainty. That is the strength of our species," Rajan nodded. "It is not our weapons, not our size, not even our numbers. It is our courage, our ingenuity, and our willingness to act despite risk." Torres smiled. "Exactly. Let them wonder. Let them be cautious. One day Earth may not need to act directly. Fear and respect will prepare the galaxy for humanity's arrival." The Resolute continued its silent journey through the outer sectors. Dominion patrols attempted to track it, but every effort failed. The humans were always one step ahead, demonstrating a combination of strategy, ingenuity, and restraint that unsettled even the most disciplined officers. On Calathar Prime, Commander Weiler reported to the Council. "Sir, the humans continue to operate unpredictably. Their presence alone has inspired doubt, hesitation, and minor resistance across multiple colonies. I recommend caution and observation rather than rash action." Admiral Krell's eyes were cold, but there was a flicker of respect. "Observation, yes, but prepare a fleet capable of engagement if necessary. Humans are clever, yes, but we will not allow one ship to undermine our empire indefinitely." Meanwhile, the Resolute moved deeper into Dominion space. Each day, each mission, and each observation spread influence far beyond what weapons alone could achieve. Humanity was proving that courage, intelligence, and adaptability were forces that could ripple across the galaxy. Torres looked out at the stars, thinking of Earth. One planet, one species, and yet the universe reacts. This is the beginning, not the end. Humans are clever, bold, and unafraid. That is why they will never be ignored. As the Resolute vanished into the darkness between stars, the Dominion continued to grapple with uncertainty. Fear, once foreign to the mighty empire, had taken root. And from that fear, the first seeds of respect and perhaps caution began to grow. Humanity had arrived from nowhere. One ship had already shifted perception, and the ripples of fear and inspiration would continue to spread across the galaxy. The Empire's greatest fear was not in battle, but in the knowledge that humans could never be fully predicted or controlled. The Xylar Dominion's high command was in full panic. Reports of the USS Resolute's exploits reached every system. One human ship, moving like a phantom, had disrupted supply convoys, evaded fleets, and inspired rebellion across multiple colonies. The Empire had never faced such unpredictability. Admiral Krell paced his command chamber, claws tapping sharply against the floor. "We cannot allow this to continue," he snapped. "One vessel has already undermined our authority. Gather the fleet. I want overwhelming force ready to strike at the humans and make them pay." Commander Weiler watched silently, his compound eyes reflecting concern. "Sir, I caution restraint. They are clever, yes, but our fleets are vast. A frontal assault may succeed, but they think differently. Humans do not respond as expected." Krell waved him aside. "Enough. We will show them that no one challenges the Dominion and survives. Prepare the fleet for engagement." Thousands of ships moved from docks across multiple systems, converging on a strategic location where Dominion intelligence believed the Resolute might strike next. Massive cruisers bristled with weapons, fighters swarmed in disciplined squadrons, and orbital defense stations readied energy turrets. The Dominion intended to crush the human ship once and for all. On the Resolute, Captain Elena Torres received warning signals from scouts. "Admiral Krell's fleet is converging on our position," Lieutenant Rajan reported. "They plan a direct engagement." Torres leaned on the bridge railing, calm and measured. "Good, they want to play by brute force, let them. Our mission remains observation and demonstration, but this is also an opportunity to show human ingenuity." The Resolute activated a series of advanced sensor arrays. Every incoming vessel was tracked. Every trajectory calculated, every potential attack predicted. The humans did not rely on overwhelming firepower. They relied on anticipation, strategy, and adaptability. As the Dominion fleet approached, Admiral Krell believed victory was assured. The humans, one ship against thousands, could not possibly withstand the onslaught. Yet the Resolute moved with quiet confidence, adjusting speed and trajectory to exploit gaps in the fleet's formation. "Captain, the fleet is deploying," Rajan said. "They expect a head-on confrontation." Torres smiled faintly. "Then we shall give them the unexpected. Initiate evasive patterns and deploy holographic decoys. Let them expend their resources chasing shadows." The Resolute shimmered with multiple projections, each image identical to the original ship. Dominion scanners locked onto several targets while the real vessel moved undetected. Fighters swarmed toward decoys only to find empty space. Commander Weiler's officers struggled to comprehend what they were seeing. "Sir," one said, voice trembling, "they are evading every attack. We cannot predict their movements. Our weapons are missing their mark entirely." Weiler's claws tightened on the console. "Impossible. One vessel should not outmaneuver our fleets. Yet it does. They are extraordinary." Torres gave precise orders to her gunners. "Target key supply ships and disable propulsion. Avoid destruction. We want them to feel pressure, not annihilation." The human torpedoes hit with exact precision, disabling engines and weapon systems without causing massive explosions. Dominion ships drifted helplessly, struggling to respond. Every move by the humans demonstrated cleverness over brute force. Admiral Krell's compound eyes blazed with fury. "This is impossible. One ship against thousands, and yet we are being outmaneuvered." "How can this be?" Vila replied cautiously. "They do not act as other species do, sir. They anticipate, adapt, and exploit weaknesses we cannot predict. Our conventional calculations are ineffective." On the Resolute, Torres continued her carefully coordinated maneuvers. Fighters attempted to flank the ship, but every strategy was countered before it began. The humans used Dominion technology they had previously captured, turning it against its creators with innovative tactics. "Captain," Rajan said, "we have complete data on their fleet formations. We can simulate every possible response and prepare contingency strategies in real time." Torres nodded. "Excellent. Humanity fights not by force alone, but with intellect and foresight. Every move must be deliberate. Remember, we show strength through cleverness, not recklessness." The Dominion fleet, once confident of victory, began to falter. Communication between squadrons was disrupted by human tactics. Supply lines were cut without open conflict. Fighters collided with each other in chaotic pursuit of decoys. Confidence turned to doubt. On Calathar Prime, civilians in minor colonies watched reports of the battle with awe. The humans had achieved what no one thought possible. One ship, acting alone, had challenged an empire and emerged unscathed. Rumors spread like wildfire. People whispered of courage, ingenuity, and determination that defied logic. "Commander Weiler," one officer said, "our control over the colonies is slipping. They see the humans as heroes. Fear and respect for Earth are spreading simultaneously." Weiler nodded. "This is the power of humanity. One ship can change perception across a galaxy. Even without conquering, they inspire." Back on the Resolute, Torres reflected on the unfolding events. "Our mission is clear. Gather intelligence, demonstrate capability, and show that humans cannot be underestimated. Let them respect us, not fear us blindly." The battle continued for hours. Dominion fleets exhausted themselves chasing illusions and countering human maneuvers. Every misstep, every wasted energy burst, highlighted the humans' ability to exploit weaknesses. It became evident that sheer numbers and power were not enough to guarantee victory. Admiral Krell finally withdrew to reassess the situation. "Stand down," he ordered reluctantly. "We cannot predict their next move. One vessel, and yet they have challenged thousands of ships." Weiler watched the fleet retreat. "Sir, humanity has demonstrated what we could not foresee. Their cunning and courage have altered the balance of power." Meanwhile, the Resolute retreated into deep space. Mission complete. They had demonstrated human ingenuity, resilience, and adaptability without engaging in outright destruction. Intelligence had been gathered, Dominion weaknesses had been exposed, and the psychological impact of one human ship defeating thousands was profound. Torres addressed her crew. "Today we proved what I have always believed. Humans survive through intelligence, courage, and unity. We do not rely solely on numbers or weapons. One ship can make a difference when guided by a mind that thinks beyond convention. Rajan smiled. Captain, the Dominion will never forget this day. Even if we return to Earth, stories of the Resolute will linger across their empire. Torres nodded. Good. Let them wonder, let them respect, and let them be cautious. Humanity's reputation grows not by conquest, but by demonstrating that cleverness and courage can overcome overwhelming odds. As the stars stretched endlessly beyond the ship, the humans reflected on their journey. They had not fired to kill, yet the Dominion's perception of power had already shifted. Fear, respect, and uncertainty now traveled across light years faster than any fleet. Back in the Xylar Council chambers, Admiral Krell addressed the High Command. One ship has evaded us, disrupted our fleets, and inspired resistance across colonies. We must adapt. We cannot ignore humans any longer. Our empire's strategy must change, Commander Veiler added quietly. Sir, they are not invincible, but they operate with intelligence and courage we have not seen before. Every move we make must consider the unpredictability of humans. The Dominion's greatest fear was no longer merely about numbers or weapons. It was the realization that humans thought differently, acted boldly, and inspired others to believe that the impossible was possible. The Resolute moved further into uncharted space, mission accomplished for now. The humans had demonstrated that courage, intelligence, and adaptability could challenge even the most powerful empire. The ripple of their actions would continue to spread, preparing the galaxy to reconsider how it viewed Earth and humanity. Captain Torres stood at the observation window, looking at the stars. One planet, one species, and yet our presence changes perceptions, inspires courage, and alters the balance of power. This is only the beginning. Humanity's place in the galaxy is no longer invisible, and it will never be overlooked again. The Resolute vanished into the void, leaving behind a Dominion empire shaken, calculating, and forced to acknowledge that the humans from Earth were clever, resourceful, and more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The Xylar Dominion had never experienced such uncertainty. A single human ship, the USS Resolute, had slipped past fleets, disrupted supply lines, and inspired resistance across multiple colonies. Fear and doubt rippled through the empire, and the council chambers were filled with heated debate. How could a species so small challenge the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known? Admiral Krell pounded his clawed fist against the table, his compound eyes glowing with frustration. One ship. One single ship, and our fleets are uncertain. We must act decisively. Humanity cannot be allowed to undermine our authority. Commander Veiler, his voice measured, replied, Sir, a frontal assault may not succeed. Their tactics are unlike any we have faced. Humans anticipate, adapt, and exploit weaknesses. It is not just their technology, it is their mind, their strategy. Perhaps it is time to consider a different approach. Krell turned sharply. A different approach? Veiler nodded. We may not be able to predict or destroy them easily. Instead of fear alone, perhaps respect is a better path. Humans respond to strength and intelligence, not brute force alone. If we communicate carefully, we may avoid further escalation. Meanwhile, in deep space, the Resolute drifted silently near the outer edge of Dominion territory. Captain Elena Torres studied the latest intelligence. Humanity had already demonstrated that one ship could unsettle an empire, but the mission was far from over. Lieutenant Rajan, Torres said, we have pushed them to doubt their control. Now we must ensure our next moves continue to demonstrate intelligence, restraint, and courage. The galaxy must understand that humanity is not reckless but formidable. Rajan nodded, reviewing the data. Captain, they are attempting communication. Multiple channels are open, requesting negotiation. It seems Admiral Krell wants to understand us rather than destroy us immediately. Torres considered this. Good, let them speak. But we maintain control. Humans are observers and survivors. We do not act out of malice, only to demonstrate capability and inspire caution. Back on Kelethar Prime, Dominion officers were tense. Fleets had returned from pursuit missions, supply lines were disrupted, and confidence had weakened. Civilians and minor factions were emboldened by stories of the humans' bravery. Even the most loyal officers began to whisper, perhaps Earth was not to be underestimated. Veiler advised the Council, Admiral, the humans operate differently than any species we know. Direct confrontation risks further destabilization. Communication may be the wiser course. Krell's claws tapped the table. Very well. Arrange a temporary truce. But be cautious. One wrong move and we could provoke them further. Across the void, the Resolute prepared for the first official contact with the Dominion. Torres instructed her crew to transmit a carefully crafted message, demonstrating humanity's intelligence, caution, and strength without aggression. We are explorers and observers. We do not seek conflict, but we will defend ourselves. Humanity values intelligence, courage, and cooperation. We request dialogue, not war. The message was received on Dominion channels. For hours, council members debated its meaning. Fear lingered, but respect began to grow. Humans had proven their capability, yet they had acted with restraint. This combination was unfamiliar and unsettling. Vyler whispered to Krell, "They are clever, sir. One ship has challenged thousands, disrupted supply lines, and yet caused minimal loss of life. They inspire awe as well as caution. This is the difference between humans and other species." Krell's gaze was hard, but there was recognition. They are unlike any species we have faced, perhaps. It is time we reconsider our approach. The humans awaited the reply with calm patience. Torres addressed the crew. Remember, we are not aggressors. We demonstrate humanity's intelligence and courage. Respect is our goal, not fear. We show them the value of understanding before conflict. Moments later, a response arrived. The Dominion requested a temporary ceasefire and invited the Resolute to a neutral system for further discussion. It was a cautious step, but one that acknowledged humanity's ability to influence events across the galaxy. Torres gave the order to proceed. Set course for the neutral system. Maintain full readiness but remain non-aggressive. Humans show strength through strategy, intelligence, and restraint, not destruction. The journey to the neutral system was tense but controlled. Along the way, the humans continued to gather intelligence, observing Dominion fleets, planetary systems, and patrol patterns. Every movement demonstrated caution and strategy, reinforcing the perception that humanity was clever and adaptable. When the Resolute arrived at the neutral system, a delegation of Dominion ships awaited. They were cautious yet prepared for conflict if necessary. Captain Torres hailed them, projecting calm authority. "I am Captain Elena Torres of the United States Starship Resolute," she said. "We have traveled from Earth to demonstrate humanity's capability, courage, and restraint. We seek dialogue, not war. Our presence should inspire understanding, not fear." The Dominion delegates listened carefully. They had expected threats or aggression, yet the humans spoke with confidence, intelligence, and honesty. For the first time, they considered that humanity's power did not come solely from weapons but from ingenuity, courage, and the willingness to act with strategy. Vyler observed from the Dominion side. "They do not threaten us directly," he whispered to his aides. "Yet their presence changes everything. They show strength without aggression. This is extraordinary." Discussion began between humans and the Dominion. Topics ranged from trade, exploration, and communication to understanding each species' capabilities and values. The humans emphasized cooperation, intelligence, and the importance of ethical conduct. Their approach was deliberate, showing that strength could be combined with restraint and diplomacy. Over time, the Dominion realized that humans were not a species to be conquered or dismissed. They were clever, resourceful, and unpredictable. Every colony, every fleet, and every council member began to acknowledge that underestimating humanity was dangerous. Torres addressed her crew privately. "We have achieved what no weapons alone could. We have demonstrated humanity's intelligence, courage, and strategic thinking. One ship has changed perceptions across an empire. Humanity earns respect not by destruction, but by showing it can act wisely and decisively when needed." Rajan nodded. "Captain, they will never forget this day. Humans are no longer the insignificant species they once thought. We have planted the seed of respect." Torres smiled. "Good. Respect, intelligence, and courage, these are humanity's true weapons. Let them learn that carefully, without underestimating us again." The Dominion began to withdraw its fleets from aggressive positions, reassessing priorities and strategies. Minor colonies, inspired by human courage, became more confident, but remained peaceful. The Empire realized that direct domination was not the only path. Understanding, respect, and cautious engagement were equally important. Back on the Resolute, Torres reflected on the journey. Humanity had arrived from nowhere, challenged a vast empire, and demonstrated that courage, intelligence, and strategy could achieve what raw power could not. One ship had become a symbol, and that symbol would continue to shape the galaxy's perception of Earth. "Lieutenant Rajan," she said, gazing at the stars, "this is only the beginning. Humanity will continue to explore, learn, and inspire. We show what is possible when intelligence, courage, and strategy are combined. The Dominion has learned to respect, and one day, the galaxy will recognize humanity's place." Rajan smiled. "Captain, we did it without unnecessary destruction. That is the mark of true strength." Torres nodded. "Exactly. Humanity's strength lies in its mind, its courage, and its ability to act wisely. Let this be our legacy: cleverness, bravery, and respect, even in the face of overwhelming power." As the Resolute vanished into deep space once again, the Dominion reflected on what had transpired. Their fleets, their technology, and their authority were formidable, yet one small human ship had shown that intelligence and courage could challenge them in ways they had never imagined. Fear was replaced with respect, and uncertainty with cautious acknowledgement. The Empire's greatest fear, humans' unpredictability, was now tempered by understanding. One species, originating from a small blue planet, had reminded the galaxy that strength was not only measured in numbers or firepower, but in the courage to act, the intelligence to adapt, and the will to survive and inspire. Across the stars, the humans continued their journey. They would explore, observe, and learn. And wherever they went, stories of the USS Resolute and its crew would ripple through civilizations, reminding all that humanity's greatest strength was not in domination, but in the combination of ingenuity, courage, and respect. Captain Torres stood on the bridge, watching distant suns glimmer against the blackness of space. "From nowhere we came, and already we are remembered. One ship, one species, one message. Humans are clever, brave, and worthy of respect. And that will never be forgotten." The Resolute moved onward, a solitary symbol of humanity's presence in the galaxy, leaving behind not destruction, but fear turned into respect, a mark that would echo across star systems for generations to come.